1，目标3连霸。台北富邦勇士的球迷们准备好了吗？现在介绍地主队台北富邦勇士球员登录名单，让我听到你们的尖叫声。首先欢迎勇士吉祥物比尔。 球员出场背号0号后卫山进一哥南洋小跑车赖廷恩，背号8号前锋勇士队鲑鱼 Number N 周桂宇，背号11号后卫。 3分冷箭，锋芒内敛 ，KJ 洪凯杰。背号13号大前锋，我梦林梦雪。背号14号小前锋，奇妙老爹，本土洋将队长蔡文成。背号15号本土中锋，禁区魔兽吉米谢宗荣。背号23号大前锋 ，Number 23，勇士队 Jordan Smart 石伯恩。背号24号后卫，敢拼敢打 TJ 简廷照。And now the starting five。 下面介绍先发球员。首先进场的是球衣背号3号得分后卫 Number 3 Jeff 海线领袖台湾喷射机张宗宪。背号32号 Number 32勇士队连霸主力中锋小夫塞瑟夫。一个来自。 背号21号中锋 Number 21酷帅高冷曾祥军。背号17号 Number 17德州传奇 Championship Michael 辛特利 Michael Secretary。最后介绍进场的是球衣背号12号小前锋勇士队精神领袖。 永远的人气王野兽林志杰，总教练 Head Coach 许晋哲，助理教练吴永仁、江志正、林伟浩、魏维，体能教练郑维轩，防护师林武章，助理防护师彭玉明，翻译梁兆轩，领队 Chris 蔡成儒。双方球队最后热身 ，Final warming up。
好的，在球员暖身的同时，也请所有勇士的伙伴们拿起你的折扇。我们也再一次邀请到 Angels 来到场中，要来带大家来复习一下，在我们勇士主场要来团结一起为勇士加油。先请大家第一个步骤换上跟我们一样的蓝色 T 恤，第二个拿起折扇把它折起来。接下来整场比赛，他会是你的好伙伴，你们的喊声也是勇士的好伙伴。接下来来到勇士主场。 熟悉的节奏，相信大家一定不陌生。双手准备好 ，Let's go 富邦，声音借给勇士，一起来 ，Let's go 富邦 ，Let's go 勇士 ，Let's go 富邦 ，Let's go 勇士。谢谢各位。接下来，我们需要大家一起跟着我们的音乐。当你听到 TFB 的时候，试着大声喊出 TFB， 并且拍5下，跟着音乐来。TFB 谢谢大家。而看一下，我们是 TFB Taipei， 我们也是为台北而战，所以呢，当你听到 Go Go Taipei Taipei， 帮我连拍6下，跟着音乐来一次。Go Go Taipei Taipei，Go Go Taipei Taipei，Go Go Taipei Taipei，Go Go Taipei Taipei。谢谢各位，接下来。当你听到熟悉的音乐，后面请你自然的发挥你的默契，大声喊出“富邦勇士”，跟着音乐一起来，一起来，大声来，富邦勇士，谢谢大家，表现很好。接下来。有进攻，有加油，我们也要将我们场边的力量借给勇士，守住对方的进攻。每一波防守交给大家一起。当你听到防守的时候，双手拿着折扇拍2下，一起来防守，防守，防守，防守，防守，快你们！谢谢。
从个 side up， 一起的共鸣接近了 hash， 加速的世界也就像百老汇，每个 U turn 对着水，空气它稀薄像盐水，氧气刺激每一条神经。Body Mary， 吸引力法则的效应让我觉得很犀利，承受每个银河系就像电影星际效应。I don't wanna talk shit， you think it's funny？Your time is money。P.LEAGUE， 挥着汗水来燃烧我的正义。Oh my P.LEAGUE， 把我每分每秒掌控在我手里。Oh my P.LEAGUE， 每天气像离火币，经常上不再冲到底，分秒必争，撑下去谁输赢还未定。
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, seniors and youth. Tonight we open up with the other series of this season's Plus League playoffs. It's the Taoyuan Pauian Pilots, a season removed from their last place finish up against the two-time defending Plus League champions in the Taipei Fubon Braves. The action gets started at the second-seeded Braves home arena, Hoping Gymnasium in Taipei City. The two teams, original members of the Plus League from 2 years ago when we all began, will be facing off for the first time as the Pilots in their second playoffs run and the Braves obviously in their third. I'm Ryan Chen, joined by Kyle Hudson on the English commentary once again. Kyle, after yesterday's Dreamers Kings game, we have another fresh series to open up.
Oh yes, Ryan, it's great to be here today, especially after the game yesterday from the Kings and the Dreamers. Jump to the other side, Series B against the Braves and the Pilots, and it should be another interesting game we have on our hands.
Yesterday, the Kings came out and played like the #1 team in the league, notching the first win and defending home court. But the Braves have their championship pedigree going right up in front. They have the one-tap celebrations. Soon we'll reveal the starting lineups, where from top to bottom, there's a lot of experience and a lot of holdovers from previous championship runs. On the Mandarin broadcast, it's Chen, 王信凯 and Mark 田宏奎。球迷朋友们，你找了 Plus League 的英文转播哦，要看到王信凯跟奎哥的讲评，当然就按到中文的连接。谢谢您的收看，记得我们的转播都要按赞。So the #1 thing, unlike what we typically think of the Braves home arena, this is a rather low-scoring season series during the regular season. Second in overall points per game at 84.6. It has picked up just a little bit in games here at Hoping Gymnasium. We spoke to both head coaches Irgi Caminos for the Pilots, his first year with the program, and Coach Roger Shujinze, of course, in his third year with the Braves, at least in the Plus League, and of course, an SBL and ABL seasons each. And asked about how their team, from their different experience points, approached this opening series in the playoffs.
The main ability comes because we play 8 games against Braves. We compete all the games. There's only one game with more than 10 points of difference. Winning only 3 games, our average in these games is like -9. So we show, and we show to everybody, we don't have to prove that we are able to compete. And that's the main goal that we have. Come today, compete, and do our best. I don't think that not having experience is a weakness. It's something different for them, but on this, maybe the experience can give you some more patience in soft moments. But the real thing is, be a weakness or a strength, sometimes you don't know. I mean, this is the moment. Most of the players they come from playing in college, in high school, this type of games, and it's a little bit new. It's not 100% new for them. So I don't think that is too much important at this moment. The most important thing for us is play our defense. The playoff games always used to be closer. Defense used to be more aggressive. I think that during the season we have a lot of games that we can call them like close to be playoff rhythm. We've been there. Obviously, there's a team that they never lose any series in P.LEAGUE history. So our main goal is try to put this series as much difficult as we can, starting from today, fighting and not forgetting that from the defense is how we made a team, is how we build a team that today is playing the playoff series.
Caminos can give him even more credit. The absolute margin of these two teams in 8 head-to-head matchups is actually 5 points. Now, do we think Caminos and the Pilots are setting themselves up for success, or are they actually maybe putting themselves in a little bit of a fallacy? Because, as he said, the Pilots are the best defensive team of the Plus League, only giving up 86 points per game. But they are, of course, leading a young team with only 3 holdovers from that very first season when they did make the playoffs, and they are going to try to take that same approach in the playoffs. It seems like sound strategy, but experience, Caminos suggesting not that important. What do we think?
I disagree, humbly disagree. I think experience is fairly important, especially in these big situations. You know, coming down to the wire, these are win or go home games, and you know, defense is very, very important, but you have a strong Braves offensive team as well that you got to combat against. And you know, the Braves are definitely going to come out and put up a lot of offensive numbers, and you know, the Pilots being more defensively minded, you can't win if you don't make shots. So the Pilots a little more focused on the defensive end, but they got to have strong offense if they're going to overcome the Braves.
On the other side, it was Coach Roger pregame.
我想，因为我们之前在年前的战绩并不是很理想，当然希望大家赶快上紧发条，然后在防守端上面能够更给对方一些压迫。那的确大家也做到我的要求。那到季后赛其实跟例行赛最大的不同，这是一个系列赛，我们必须在第一轮里面必须取胜3场，就是在同一个对手必须要对战，赢得3场球才有机会迈入到下一轮，然后下一轮是要赢得4场比赛。所以你是对战同一个球队，那当然每一场都不一样的变化。我没有给球队特别的比喻啦，因为我觉得我们球队算是比较成熟，有很多有经验的球员，那有很多年轻的是非常有拼劲，或者希望，有经验的你也必须把拼劲拿出来，然后年轻的你也去把这一季你所学到的东西在季后赛能够有所发挥。希望我们在这个系列赛真的能够3场球能够拿下3胜，击败对方。不可否认，我觉得我们在年后之后啊，这些年轻的球员进步非常快速。因为一开始年前，其实我大量让他们去处理第4节的球，可是实际战绩没有很好。那到了下半季的时候，其实我大量的让他们先去中间去做冲锋陷阵，让收尾还是让有经验的老将去做收尾。那可是，在最后的这一轮的6场比赛里面，其实大家可以看到，包含凯杰、TJ 还有桂宇。还有祥军，大部分在最后的决胜节的时候，其实把他们放在场上，那也有一个很好的 ending。所以我希望我们在季后赛当中，状况最好的留在场上，不限于是年纪 资深的球员或者是年纪轻的球员。
Coach Roger, the Coach of the Year in the very first season of the Plus League, sharing that around the Lunar New Year break, they were very loose, needed to tighten up and focus, put the pressure on their opponents. That'll be a theme coming up later. Of course, sharing that the season series is different than the playoff series, where you might be matching up against the same team, but every game will go differently. The biggest insight he shared was how he allocated the crucial fourth quarter minutes during the season. In the middle part, it was back to the vets who needed to carry them the rest of the way, but especially in the last 6 games, he's rotated a lot of his younger players in those situations. Of course, granted, in games not as important, and the similar thinking, trying to put the pressure on the opponents by taking their home games. They lost both opening games against the Dreamers here at Heping Gymnasium. Pauian will be the crew chief shown earlier, and there's the starting lineups for the pilots. Jeffrey Ayers next to Jason Washburn, Pauian next to Jackie Lee Jiakang, and rookie Bai Chen will be the point guard. And on the Brave side, Jack Zhen Xiangjun next to Igor Zaitsev, Beast Lin Zijie, Michael Singletary, and Jet Zhang Zhongxian. All 5 of the Braves starting tonight have been with the club for all 3 years of the Plus League. Zhen Xiangjun being the youngest, though he did play a big role in last year's finals in a victory over the Lioneers to clinch their back-to-back championships. And as we mentioned before, on the pilot side, none of the holdovers from the very first season, and Si Jinyao, Chen Guanchun, or Guan Dayou in the starting lineup, though they are all active for today's game. The pilots, you can say for them, and their credit, is they've actually had some consistency too. No import changes mid-season, unlike the last 2 seasons. And they do have a Plus League record 10 wins in a row, but that also comes with a Plus League record 9 losses in a row.
Yeah, definitely having these streaks, winning streaks and losing streaks. You know, you get that high when you're on that win, but, you know, coming down to this stretch of the postseason and these playoffs, you win, you keep going, and you get a bad spell of losses, then it ends the season. And like you mentioned, the Braves have a lot of carryover these past seasons, and team chemistry is definitely important, and just playing with the same guys over and over again, you tend to learn their tendencies and, you know, what spots they like to shoot the ball from and where they rotate on defense, which I think gives the Braves a little bit of an advantage at this point.
Now, Taipei City Mayor Jiang is in for the ceremony opening tip. He was also at the UBA Championship in attendance. We are ready to go now. The Pilots had a regular season of 19 wins, 21 losses. Good for 3rd place thanks to a head-to-head advantage against the Dreamers. And the Braves, 25-15, is in 2nd place. Now, they only finished the season 2 games behind the Kings, but never within 1 game since week 7. So a step above last year, where they were 3rd place in the regular season, had to start on the road, but not quite at the top end of the league, though they have their playoffs to prove it, including 2-time finals MVP Michael Singletary controlling the possession, and the are off. Braves in white and the Pilots in their pinstripe orange jersey, a new look this year. Zaitsev lines up a 3, one of the best 3-point shooters in the league, but it's off.
Yeah, we see the Pilots come out with some pretty strong defense in that first possession, and let's see how long they're able to keep up that high intensity.
Ayers will try himself, and that's the first points of the series. Jeffrey Curtis Ayers, also a strong 3-point shooter, even as a big, 42% to Zaitsev's 43%. But that's just modern basketball for you.
Yeah, we're seeing the Braves come out very, very patient, really looking for that entry pass down low, but, you know, deflected and out of bounds.
It'll be a turnover. Jack Zhen Xiangjun, somebody that the Braves made a conscious effort to push for league MVP, as 2 votes of the total vote coming from the fans, but the rest coming from the basketball press here in Taiwan. So a 3-0 start and trying to extend on it. Ayers guarded by Zhen Xiangjun from the outside, from a way step behind, another one.
Yeah, some very strong scoring performances here right now in the first quarter. And, you know, just like yesterday, we saw the Kings come out really hot, but now we're seeing the away team Pilots putting a lot of pressure on the Braves early.
A foul off ball. Here's one thing we're going to be looking out for, because the Pilots have 2 import bigs, you could say. Don't think they're going to be matching up on Michael Singletary for the most part. So like all of the regular season, it's probably up to a local. At Chen with a little fade away from the corner.
Yeah, we'll see to continue throughout this game how the Pilots are going to guard Singletary, as you know, he's a prolific scorer for the Braves and might be hard to contain, so we'll keep an eye on that.
Indeed, the leader of points scored this season, 23, as Chen. Guess that one blocked. The 3rd overall pick of the Plus League Amateur Draft, as Singletary tries it off bank. Braves get a second opportunity. Jet, Shen. Back in the starting role, trying to back down Ethan, but in the middle, will at least get a foul out of it, as 2 Pilots could not get the defensive stop.
Yeah, so far we've seen throughout this game, it's definitely going to be very physical, as we see, you know, a lot of strong defense being played, as that's the Pilots' game plan coming in to try to bump the Braves off their spots, make them a little uncomfortable, you know, passing the ball, handling the ball, and driving into the basket. And you know, it's not going to come easy for the Braves.
Jet, there you see flashed on the screen, averaging 10 points per game. Still the #1 option for the Braves to play point guard. Known, of course, for his fast break leak out streaks. Horn set for the Pilots. The biggest thing when it comes to their playoff start is their choice to start 2 imports, as during their winning streak, love to play 1 import sets for the most part. Washburn trying to squeeze down low and will get the spinning hook. The team leader for points scored per game for the Pilots, 21.3. As we mentioned in the pregame, as Bees tries to step back, no. The season series belonged to the Braves 5-3, but in the Plus League history, the Braves 18 wins to just 4 losses, as they swept last year and only lost 1 time to the Pilots in their inaugural year. But in the playoffs, it's a 0-0 start. Washburn, there's a mismatch, but the Braves double quickly. Singletary putting the pressure on Ayers and will get the foul. Of course, now the physicality kind of going both ways, though Singletary not so happy about the elbows.
Yeah, we saw earlier in that possession, Ayers just having the ball and getting, he felt like a lot of contact, and he didn't get the call, but right here, a swipe across the arm on that 3-point attempt. Comes up with 3 free throws.
Hardy with 2 made threes and the free throw too. Ayers is the best Pilots free throw shooter at 85%, though. We mentioned him, we mentioned Washburn, strong players, though interesting enough, the Pilots choosing to go out with Sonny Sakakini, who in the Pilots' history's only win at Hooping Gymnasium, coming back on April 23rd. Sonny Sakakini, 41 points in the game, 27 in the first half, powered them to the victory, but maybe they're saving him for the next game or maybe even back at Pauian.
Yeah, we'll have to see in these upcoming games, but you know, choosing Ayers and Washburn has seemed to be pretty like a good strategy so far, as they have the majority of the points, if not all the points, I believe.
Jack getting the screen from Chen and knocks down another. Jack getting going early. It's kind of double-edged sword, because of course he's one of the most explosive local scorers for the Braves, but ever since the first season, he kind of gets a little too trigger happy out there.
Oh, you know, once you get your shot going as a shooter and a scorer, you just want to keep shooting the ball, as you see keep going in the basket. But you know, there comes a point where you have to understand shot selection and, you know, time of game. So we'll see if that comes to a point.
Beast had the mismatch over to Mike, who knocks it down. The first three-pointer made for the Braves in this playoff run. Pauian too strong. Also in there, perhaps for defense, he's matched up on Singletary. Another fadeaway from Jet, another swish. It's probably becoming a problem now for the Pilots, matching up at the one guard.
Yeah, we'll see if the Pilots on their other end of the court maybe switch or help a little bit more as Ayers banked another three. Filling up the stat sheet early as this high-scoring quarter in this first minutes of the game.
2 whistles on the play as Pauian trying to stick tough with Singletary. Though the Pilots win here in the regular season didn't come easy. The Braves tied it at 64 in the third quarter and we're only down 2 heading into the fourth. Let's get another look at Jet going to work. In the early goings of the game, already with 6 points as Mike lines up another one, but it's short. Michael Singletary and Ira Zaitsev with the Braves all 3 years, and the two of them have played every single game of the first season's final series against the Dreamers. Jackie Lee.com with one of his first touches of the game, but off to Washburn, loses it for a sec. A deep try, overshoots it as Singletary getting past Ethan, taking the bump. The Braves hang on. So Beast is getting the start, saved a lot of his energy and shows it off there with the layup. Slicing through the entire Pilots defense.
That tough finish, and we see the Pilots pushing the ball off that make basket, which is exactly what we like to see. Trying to push the pace a little bit, trying to get the Braves out of position on that quick layup.
This time they slow it off of a miss. Another kind of horn set as you see Sijinhao is checked into the game, number 28 floating into that corner on the close side. There's shot fake, driving kick. Now Washburn will try, got a little air and it's good. So the Pilots import starting off red hot.
You know, maybe they wanted to come out really hot, put a lot of pressure on the Braves as Jet misses a little corner jumper there, but the Pilots definitely are finding their guys that are shooting really well so far, and you know, you just want to keep getting them the ball as you know, it's a first option.
Guarding Ayers tight from the perimeter as Ayao working with Ayers. They got the switch. He flings it up and almost had it. Jackie in there, but the Braves are going to collect. The last game is not a great sample as Singletary frees himself, overshoots it. As the Pilots only had Jason Washburn, the lone import, their last matchup on May 7th, but it was a close game, 97-93. They did have 26 points, 11 rebounds, and 5 assists, Washburn did. Jackie through, until Washburn with a one-handed hammer.
Yeah, that's not something you want to see from the home fans, but just excellent offense there by Washburn, and he rose up and finished that basket. And he's definitely going to get the Pilots a lot of energy, but
a little head fake, and Jet gets by Ethan, this time going to the cup.
A little defensive breakdown there from the Pilots as, you know, got beat baseline, which is, you know, where defense lacks help, and with no one down there, the Braves got an easy layup there on the other end.
Ayers rising and firing, but from two-point range, no good. Braves spreading it out wide as Zaitsev steps out of bounds. You're going to hear from the Braves bench out in that one, but that's the difference of Jeffrey Ayers has in there. A real sturdy defender down low. The players will head to their bench. It's the first commercial break, first time out of the game. Pilots getting off to a good start, but it's Jet to the rescue for the Braves.
今天也欢迎我们的尽量小子来到勇士主场，一起为勇士加油。跟着比尔一起做出动作的，就可以到这场有卖水摊位领取 VIP 会员卡。带着这个会员卡，可以到开展集团旗下德州鲜区牛排以及 Fridays 美式餐厅来享有用餐8折优惠。欢迎市长，准备来看一下大荧幕。市长跟着比尔一起做出动作，市长跟着比尔一起跳个舞。谢谢市长。来喽，下一位美女，拇指爱心送给勇士，谢谢，挑战成功。2位，欢迎你们喽！来跟着比尔动一动，活络一下筋骨。
It's the All My PLG fans watching on YouTube. Be sure to like it up. In the early goings of the game, the Pilots coming out strong, especially their imports, knocking down the threes between Jason Washburn and Jeff Ayers. And on the Brave side, it's Jet who's gotten off to a good start. We haven't said his name very much in this season, but of course 10 points per game is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, we've seen this Pilots team come out, as you mentioned, the imports. Ayers and Washburn hold all the points so far for the Pilots, 12 coming from Ayers and 7 coming from Washburn. So, you know, the Braves definitely in this timeout are going to talk about how they're going to contain these 2 imports, and definitely the defensive, you know, shift that they'll have to focus on.
Of course, there's already been substitutions on the game, but we can say starter Chen Xiangjun, whose primary defensive assignment is to guard Ayers on the perimeter, actually missed the last 3 Braves game. Coach Roger and the staff treating him like a seasoned vet, even though he's only in his 3rd year, and Chen Xiangjun only 24 years of age. But the local scoring for the Pilots in particular is supposed to come from number 69, Justin Wu Junxiang, who's good for 14 points a game, or Si Jingyao's 9 points per game. As there's a travel call, KJ and Josh subbed in immediately, taking effect, applying pressure on the Pilots inbounds, and that's a bad mistake. But we're already 8 minutes into the first quarter, so as fast of a pace as we played, the scoring is not absurd yet. But Brendan Smart and Andy Ding, the international students for their respective teams, matched up. As a loose ball poked away by the Pilots, but Smart gets it back. Going quickly, Zaitsev blows the close one, and for the scramble for the basketball is going to be an out of bounds. Not exactly the start out of timeouts that you would expect.
It seems like there was some butter or something all over that basketball because no one could pick it up, and you know, Zaitsev had a pretty decent look right here, but you know, just missed it right off the rim, and the ball bouncing around is very tough to see. A little sloppy basketball at the moment, but let's see if they can clean it up to finish up the quarter.
The captain of the team, Si Jingyao, we mentioned him before. Now he's running the point. There's number 6, Lu Junxiang. Definitely always a question of how confident he is heading to these playoffs. They rotate around Ayo with a corner 3 attempt, but that's in and out.
Yeah, we saw that defensive shift there by the Braves right as Washburn picked up that basketball. Josh came over and doubled him to make sure he couldn't get any decent passes or decent looks off that initial pass down low.
They double Jason Washburn whenever he's on the low post. Not something they did all the time during the regular season, as Justin is short with a 3. Ian Singletary aside, as a little too much holding, they say, but complaints on both players' side. It's the 3rd Pilots, now 4th Pilots team foul. Is getting a look. Did have both hands, and kind of just a veteran swim move there by number 17.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a physical game. We saw that from the very first minutes of the tip-off, and these players are going to have to get used to it because, you know, it's not going to come easy for them.
Josh on the curl screen will miss the layup, but KJ too physical on the rebound.
Yeah, he's a little too open there off that offensive rebound, and there might be a reason why. Let's see if they show a replay or not, but definitely a little shove in the back as the Pilots take it inbound as the Braves are full court pressuring, but falling back into half court pressure.
A lob pass as Ambi avoids two and eventually gets the foul. It was some kind of miscommunication as Josh and Smart were trying to stick with him underneath the basket, and Roger's going to make another change.
That was good recognition there by the Pilots, finding Ambi down low on that little miscommunication by the Braves, and was able to pump fake and draw a defender to jump into him and shooting 2 free throws at the line here.
Ambi had to deal with knee injuries in the early parts of the season, but came on late and eventually made several starts in a row as the Pilots power forward, averaging 3.6 points per game, but more than 5 rebounds a game. In the end, 6 starts, 13 games coming off the bench. Certainly will mix it up with their opponents down low, so be aware of that.
And that 1 free throw made is actually the first points that were not scored by Ayers or Washburn so far in this game.
Now it's KJ trying to go to work on Guandayo, who actually, as a rookie, started in the Pilots' first playoffs, but a foul at the basket. Looks like it's going to be on Sijingyao, who was the other starting guard in that Pilot squad way back when, you could say. Another look at Sijingyao was theoretically in good position, but the referee said needed to be a little bit more vertical.
Yeah, I think
it's always tough.
Yeah, I think it was turned a little sideways there, but good contact, good defensive presence there, just rising up and trying to make the shot as tough as possible, but called for the foul there.
So yesterday we talked about his counterpart traded to the Kings in Joseph Lin, but KJ, the main piece traded over from the Kings, drafted 3rd overall in the 2021 Plus League draft, but fitting in nicely with the Braves. Free throw made as well. KJ averaging 21 minutes, played almost 7 points per game out of Zhengzhou University. Guarding Guandayo tightly, or Killer Quan, affectionately named from the first set of imports of the Taoyuan Pilots. Guandayo jumping through and going to the basket, but the layup is off.
We see the Braves push the ball a little bit, try to get their defenders out of position, but now slow it up. A little pick and roll action.
As TJ would go high off glass and in. TJ Jiantingzhao has found himself making a lot of friends as the Pilots now caught again, having trouble inbounding out of the baseline.
Right after that quick basket by the Braves, they just come up and pressure the Pilots really early. And, as these Braves are face guarding these Pilot guards, just too much time off the clock and violation is called.
So the Braves cut it to within 1 and a chance to tie or go ahead. TJ, another lane and another lay-in. Something miscommunicated on the high screen and roll.
Yeah, Washburn there was hanging around the low post, but didn't come over to help as Zaitsev was at the top of the key.
Justin will try, but Amdi with a long batted out rebound. Again, a lot of pressure by the Braves. A lot of pressure we sent 69's way. There's Zaitsev switched onto him. Finding a crease, putting it up and a miss. A batted foul, and the Braves are on the run. A little 4-on-2, but KJ can't get a shot off, so they'll slow it up.
That's great help on defense by the Pilots. Definitely not in the best position, but able to slow down the Braves just enough to reset that possession.
And he will take the foul. They'll send Brandon Smart to the foul line. And so, I guess to the delight of Roger, as his younger players have come into the game and have really made a bigger impact than maybe Jet and Beast did in the start.
Yeah, we're just seeing them pressure up on the ball really early after these quick baskets, just trying to catch the Pilots off guard. And you know, they're bringing that type of energy that you want to see from some youngsters, and they're doing pretty well so far as the Braves now have the lead by 1 point coming into the end of this first quarter.
Z will finally go off for Jimmy, free agent signing for the Braves. Xie Zonglong, number 15. Smart will hit the first free throw.
Both these teams shooting the penalty ball pretty well so far compared to what we saw yesterday with the Kings and the Dreamers.
A 2-for-2 trip from Brendan Smart out of Jianxing University, Jianxing Technical. He also used to play on the 3-on-3 Taoyuan Yi-Sun team. One last possession of the quarter by Alta, screen. Driving middle out to Justin from a step beyond. It's a miss, but 1 second left. Andy will go to the line now. Another offensive rebound for the Pilots. That's one area that Ambi's had a positive effect down low.
Yeah, definitely grabbing boards off the offensive end. Gives your team extra possessions and extra chances to put the ball in the basket, and it can definitely be detrimental to the Braves team as they see an offensive guy grab all these boards. As you know, this could be extra 2 points, but now if that first miss could be an extra second chance point here.
Andy 15 for 25 during the regular season. Makes the adjustment, so about a second for the Braves to try a full court play. Josh from way deep, looking deep, but it's out to KJ, who gives it a healthy heave. Well, the Pilots start off strong, but the Braves kids are coming in and taking the lead back, but that's the first quarter in the books. We'll go to another break, but the rest of the action after this here in the Plus League playoff series between the Pilots and Braves.
准备好，双手这个勇士，一起拍手。1, 2, 3, here we go！
团结一心的力量，勇士的王朝，缺一不可的我们，全身沸腾的。
再一次将你的双手借给勇士。1, 2, 3, here we go！
双手求我们。
再次掌声送给富邦英九以及比尔，谢谢各位。
Plus League playoff merch ready to go. Spend 1,000 NT or more and have your shipping covered by us. So, interesting thing is, as low scoring as this season series was, and Hoping Gymnasium, the at least average scoring is up 87.6 points per game on about the same pace, 86 possessions combined. But in Taoyuan, where the series will move to game 3 and a possible game 4, it's only 80.9 points per game. Now, as you pointed out, only 3 pilots scored in the first quarter, but on the Brave side, 6 individuals get on the scoreboard, including a lot of the young kids between TJ, Brendan Smart, or getting their share as a little driving pick as Justin goes to the reverse and squeezes it in.
You know, the commentator's curse right there as we see another pilot added to the list of the scorers as the Braves coming in looking to spread the floor a little bit.
Whistle early as I think it's the good friends of Ethan and TJ kind of mixed up there, but first overall pick, Zhang Zhenya, or Ma Yao, is in there. Perhaps will guard Michael Singletary, as seems like a little bit of a procedural thing. Now they're ready to go. Indeed, trying to trail Singletary as Ambi comes over to provide some help, leaving Z wide open. He hits.
Yeah, the defense by the Pilots just trying to find the guys that are the most dangerous at each moment. It's very difficult, as we saw, Singletary taking it to the basket, but, Big Z, not a guy you can leave at the three-point line, as you mentioned earlier, his three-point percentage is over 40%. And, when you're shooting the ball at that high of a clip, you can't be leaving guys open like that.
Zaisef and Ayers playing physical as another double comes with pass underneath, and Amdi again will earn himself a trip to the free throw line. That's what the Pilots really need out of those double teams. The Braves are sending them every time against their opponent's imports, but somebody's got to get free and not pass it along the perimeter where they're a lot easier to defend. So Ambi will step up to the line once again.
Yeah, it was a great effort there by Ambi. He recognized that double team and started to seal Singletary out to give an option down on the post, and he was able to get tangled up a little bit going up for that shot, and just got to put the ball in the basket now on these charity strikes.
But he does stay at 500. Now 3 for 6. The Braves, on the other hand, 6 for 6 in the first quarter. A screen as TJ will try the corner shot, but that one's halfway down and out.
Something I've noticed from the Pilots is off that pick and roll, they're not really having great communication on how they're going to guard it. In the first quarter, we saw 2 instances of miscommunication where, no one came to help off that pick and roll, and the Braves were able to go to the basket 2 times for easy layups. And we just saw there, TJ had a pretty wide open shot off that initial pick. So I like to see the Pilots try to find and fine-tune a little bit more on that screen defense, or, they're giving up a lot of shots early.
Starters coming back in for both squads. Jet bringing up Audrey with 8 points on the game, but looking for Big Z up top. Driving, spinning, back to Zheng Xiangju, and he rails the 3.
Just that driving action from the Braves, just drawing 2 defenders and just having the basketball IQ to know exactly where your teammate is and what spot he likes to shoot from. And as we saw, he was wide open for 3 for, some probably a healthy 2-3 seconds.
Zhang Zhenya misses his first shot attempt in the playoffs as the Pilots recover on defense. Screen by Zaisef, but Michael Singletary somehow gets the shot. Trying to get some contact on the play too.
Yeah, we definitely see his shot was a little altered. Maybe it was a foul, maybe it wasn't, but that's a tough shot nonetheless as he railed one more in.
Pilots will eventually get the timeout as the score table trying to get the horn in. It's the Braves in control of the pace. We'll go to another break. Back after this.
会刚好瞄准哦。还有哪边没有抓不到的？还有哪里？
Tomorrow is game 2 of the Kings Dreamers series. Can the Dreamers bounce back, or will the Kings defend their castle for a second straight game? On the season, the Pilots had in their credit, you could say, the second lowest percentage of import scoring at 39%, but the flip side is their locals had the lowest field goal percentage of 35%, and it's kind of playing out in this game right here. Their half-court offense is not really going, and they're struggling to get stops and get run-out opportunities in a row, especially with the Braves really going to the top and the bottom of their rotational depth, now showing off a 2-3 zone.
That's a good defensive switch from the Braves, I think, as these Pilots, they haven't been shooting the ball particularly well from the three-point land or from field goal percentage either, so we'll see the Braves keep going in there until they can shoot them out of it.
It's Jed on the quick counter, and that's what the Braves will do to you. Washburn and Ayers are back in there, but it's the Braves showing off a man-to-man defense now.
Little elevator screen there, trying to get a quick shot if it was there, but it's not. But I love that ball movement by the Pilots. I think
they were rewarded.
I think that was the first time in a while that they were able to move the ball very quickly, find the open man, and knock down that shot.
Michael Singletary bumped on the baseline. It will be the second foul by the Pilots as a team. Another look at Pilots not getting back on defense despite the missed shot. It's another assist to number 17, excuse me, Michael Singletary. With Jet guarded by killer Guan Da-yo, and Z somehow had an angle to lay it in.
We're just seeing the Braves be a lot more aggressive, taking a lot more chances, and finding the open man. So I really like this motion offense that the Braves have been running. They're just putting a lot of pressure on multiple different Pilot defenders until their defense breaks down.
Ayers kind of forces one up from the free throw area as Beast tracks it down. Now Beast guarded by Mayao, putting the between the leg crossover, but could not finish as Zaitsev wins the physical matchup against Ayers down low.
You know, the Pilots are setting up an offense here, but burning a lot of time and not doing much. As we just see initial pass, and it's just kind of a one-on-one matchup. So I'd like to see the Pilots be a little more active off ball.
Ayers is frustrated. Even though they did whistle on the play, he got up in a hurry and looking for some kind of action. Not entirely sure what was going on the play. There you see he got fouled and he got tripped, so he's rewarded with a whistle. But right now, the coolness from the Pilots early on the game is completely left them. There's a timeout on the floor as looks like the Braves are coming off a little bit hot too.
Yeah, basketball is a game of runs, and we saw the Pilots get off to an early lead, but the Braves fought back respectively, and now the Pilots are going to have to come back and try to take that lead back before the end of this first half.
Post， 因为他们两个都没犯规 ，no trap。如果是5号守5号哦 ，big to big no trap， 不要回来了。如果 mismatch 守 10的时候要包，守 10的时候如果是杰哥，中线在这边 就要包。OK。哎，过来，我们做一个1赛。Best way or 1赛。OK， 来走。
And this is where the luxury of the Braves obviously lead in the game, but of course have an advantageous foul situation with their bigs. They receive the average scoring, and their shooting percentage is always above 40%, though a little dip in scoring. Last year in the regular season pushed up to 106 points per game, though we have to add it was helped by a double OT win over the Dreamers in the first series, but in the timeout you pointed out that Zheng Xiangjun and Zaisev don't have any fouls, so they can avoid double teaming on the block and put some defensive pressure elsewhere as Ayers drops in the first free throw. And that's the kind of luxury you're for, making adjustments. And now the Pilots, we don't know what they talked about on their bench. They'll have to figure out an answer when they have that opportunity next time down the floor.
Yeah, we see both free throws go down, and with the Braves having this little lead, they're able to dictate the game more, whether that be through pace or how they play defense, and maybe they're a little more aggressive. We see a little trip there, but good save. Could have been a quick 2 points on the other end.
Lucky bounce for Zheng Xiangjun, who's hit a 3 earlier and now a mid-range shot. The biggest thing he's improved in their offseason is one-footed floaters. Haven't seen that yet today, as Li Jiakang working with Washburn, now driving it off glass, but poked out by Washburn. Pilots have missed a number of close ones, though, to be fair, that's not uncontested like some of these Braves layups. Fan Dayo driving on Zheng Xiangjun to Washburn's mid-range, but it's claimed.
You know, the difference we've seen in the second quarter is the Braves made a quick adjustment.
Another 3, but this time it's Beast finally getting on the scoreboard.
Yeah, with the defensive adjustment from the Braves, trying to lock down Washburn and Ayers, who were their leading scorers in the first quarter, pretty much scored all their points, actually. They haven't had it going here in the second, and that's why the Pilots have been trailing so much.
Washburn will go with a right hook, but no luck. Consecutive stops for the Braves, and already up by 14. As B's trying to make it another one. No with the bounce. Finally, the Pilots with a little bit of momentum. Fan Dayo will float the pass, and they do get a foul as Jet crashed into Washburn on the roll. But both gentlemen all right.
That's good help defense by Jet coming in on that backside. As we just see Beast pull up on a little hesitation, hit that 3.
Back into the game on the handoff, not taking the shot as Ayers will finally finish off the possession, but off to the right.
A very tough shot there, and
quickly the other way, a little bit too wild. Jet threw it over the head at Zheng Xiangjun.
Even though it was a botched possession there on the other end, the Braves definitely putting the pressure on the Pilots, showing them that they'll push the ball anytime they want to. And they better get back on defense, or else they're going to give up some easy buckets. So the Pilots get it to Ayers, and you know, he's our leading scorer on the Pilots so far, and he's looking to facilitate more now as we see a travel by Washburn.
Just walled off by Zaisev, and the Pilots keep going down to Washburn. It only successful some of the time, but the rest of the squad foot stuck in concrete as Jackie charges in and gets the steal. And taking it all the way himself, but it's going to be a missed shot and a chance for the Braves to run. But those are the kind of effort plays you could probably appreciate if you're a Pilots fan. Just try to make something out of nothing.
Yeah, of course. So great recognition there, seeing that inbounds play. You know, just a little sloppy on that pass.
Zaisev will leave the layup short, and chance for the Pilots to run again. Ball hand ran into the same side as Washburn. They double off him, and he fires away, but it's an air ball. Jackie once again going to work, but Jet this time gets the stop. And Ayers can only foul Singletary on the sideline.
And we've seen these pilots have a lot of great looks, but just a little shorter, a little off on a couple of these shots, and that's definitely not helping morale on the pilots' end as this lead is just growing larger and larger by the Braves.
You can see the paint scoring 18-10 in favor of the Braves so far. Over Zhenxiang Jr. elbow extended, waiting for a handoff. It's KJ going to the layup as Sijinho came too late with the help. There's a whistle first. It looks like the pilots want to talk things over on the bench. Well, 4 minutes to go. Their scoring total is stuck at 29.
That's that screen defense I was mentioning earlier. As we see off that initial screen, Washburn, I don't know what type of I guess he's not even helping off the screen as, got that first step, blow by, and easy lane to the basket.
And so, trying to listen into the Camino's timeout.
You see, we have stopped them their threat. Perfect. Offense. We go motion. We Jason down. Give up. Okay. If you play the screen, be waiting Jason down. Go corner. If they rotate, keep swinging with Jeff. Okay. Let's go.
Caminos, excuse Washburn's language there. We haven't seen their motion offense so much where they would have 5 outside and swing it from left to right and have what I call continuation offense, but they haven't shown it much in this game, if at all. And like you say, they definitely need to figure out something on the defensive end. 45 points by the Braves, maybe not the worst thing in the world, but 29 by the Pilots is certainly not going to get it done.
Yeah, the Pilots have been sticking to more of a little horn set, either taking it off on that double screen or passing it to one of the bigs, either Washburn or Ayers, to try to make something happen. So I like to see a little bit more, movement on the offense, trying to make more things happen, just try to find some defensive breakdown on the Braves.
Immediately a zone look, Pauian off iron again. Jackie swings it over Ayao to Ayers in the corner. He'll try and still no, as there's a holding foul. Michael Singletary and Jason Washburn tied up, but they're going to call it against the defense. Now, you can understand it from a size perspective, but might need to see that replay again. So pay attention. Michael Singletary with 3 personal already. So we found Washburn. He did engage the hook first, so if anything, I would say the referees made the right call there.
Yeah, Singletary definitely tried to get, a little smaller in size and height, but trying to get a little extra position in. He could only do that by hooking his arm, and good call by the refs calling that foul.
Justin will force up a jumper and somehow gets it to go.
Yeah, tough shot there, but as we saw from the Pilots, they had 2 open corner threes, and that's exactly what you get when you start, moving the ball a little bit more and trying to find the open man, and the Pilots just got to convert on some of those shots.
Now Pauian guarding Jet, will try to pull up himself, but no. Most shot attempts by Braves locals belong to number 3. They were looking for Washburn, but now on the post up as Justin takes the contact and floats it in. Number 69 starting to get the scoring touch.
We saw Washburn down low looking for that ball on the low post, and just his presence there drew the defender away to create an open lane for Justin to come in, take that and one shot. And as we see, good help by Josh, but just a little too much contact.
The Pilots clinched on May 5th, which happened to be your very first broadcast. They left them with 2 games and 2 weeks to prepare for the playoffs. So now, as we mentioned, their import situation in a lot more stable of a spot, as opposed to their first and only playoff run with ending the season 2 wins, 8 losses, with only Jordan Chapman, the only import, actually joining in late with Davon Reed and Kadeem Jack leaving the team due to injury. So you'd think they'd be in a better situation, but they did force 5 games against the Dreamers after getting blown out in the first game. So with teams so familiar with each other, but the playoffs is becoming a whole different animal. You never know who might step up, but Wu Junxiang is definitely a local player that the Pilots need to have a decent performance and certainly not lose confidence with maybe 1 for 10 or 2 for 11 kind of shooting performances from the field. A couple buckets in a row, at least for now, is keeping the Pilots in this action.
Yeah, for sure, Ryan. Like you said, this isn't just a 1-game series. It's a 5-game series. So even though these teams play each other a lot, little tweaks here and there, every single game they're going to come with some new strategies, some new offensive sets, maybe some new defensive sets. And overall, it's a long-term game. And this is the first, and it's very important, but it's not the only one that we're going to see.
Saw previously Perry Jones, former Brave, sitting courtside. His Taiwan Hero Bears eliminated from their run this season in a different league here in Taiwan, but the free throws missed. So Jet, Josh, Jack, Big Z, and KJ for the Braves. Z, 2 guys close on him, now get out of it. Almost a and 1, as Jason Washburn had a foul early on.
The Braves are getting a lot of great spacing on their offensive there, as you know, Big Z is able to shoot the ball from the outside, but just with his height and his vision, he's also able to pass the ball as well, and you know, getting enough space there to drive to the basket to split between a couple of defenders, and heads to the line here with 2:48 left in this first half.
Big Z had to deal with injury early in the game, or early in the season. And joining the squad actually a little bit on the later side, as Jones, initially a member of the squad, but Zaisev made his debut, in fact, against the Pilots here at home back on January 28th. 23 points on perfect, 8 of 8 shooting from the field and 2 of 2 from the line, and he won himself week MVP of the Plus League. Give the Braves a lead as they, again, show the zone look. Done pass, and it looks like it'll be off. Jing Yao. Zhou might get credit for causing that turnover.
That's great recognition, just reading the eyes here of Justin, as just a little split second, very early, just tipped the ball enough to knock it off the Pilots' hands and have it go the Braves' way.
Jet beats 1, but can't beat Jason Washburn's contest. Pauian out to Justin, dribbling into a little bit of a trap, tight roping the baseline, and now out of bounds. So consecutive turnovers for the Pilots under 3 minutes of play in the first half.
He couldn't tiptoe his way around that one at the baseline, but cutting the lead down a little bit. Still fairly sizable though, but the Braves have the ball and slowing it down a little bit, trying to find a specific offensive set that they like.
Z and Josh working on the screen and roll. Onto Xiangjun with a big contest by Washburn. It doesn't matter. Then Xiangjun now with 9 points, excuse me. Perfect 4 for 4 shooting. Kind of sneaky with that production, as Wu Junxiang will try the 3 and miss. Former collegiate teammates way back when at Fuda.
Just having the Braves have 5 players on the court that can all score. It's a very dangerous combo. Yep, very dangerous combo from the Braves, as even one slip up defensively from the Pilots leads to a basket on the other end.
Ayers will get a free throw trip after a second and third effort. And Igor Zaytsev called for his first personal. Chen Xiangju, though, will get a breather, and Li Mengshi will take his place. With a minute 18 left. Crucial sequence for the Pilots. We gave him credit for playing tight games against the Braves, but it's not been a tight game in the second quarter. They're sitting at 12 points. Now make it 13. Meanwhile, on the Brave side, 26 points on the quarter, but again, spreading amongst 6 different players, and 4 different players have assists too. Want to show their offense has been pretty free-flowing in the second period. Now, a big concern if you're the Pilots, they do have the slowest pace of the Plus League at only 87 possessions per game. So they got to score on the free throws. Now, Beast will try. He will elevate and score on the 3.
Yeah, the Braves just putting as much pressure as they can before this first half ends. Just trying to extend that lead more and more to put the Pilots in a difficult position.
Aya with a great shot attempt, but another rebound, and here come the Braves. Beast to Winston, who's in for the first time. Out to Zaytsev, trailing and banking it home. Just like yesterday for the home team, when it rains, it pours. Just getting across the timeline as the Pilots look pretty dejected, and Josh got the deflection, but the Pilots hang on with the numbers advantage. Allhan a quick fire 3 from the corner, but still off as the Pilots have shot. Now, rather woeful 5 for 19. Holding to a last possession. No Beast from the corner, no, as Washburn will throw it ahead and not in time with the layup. Pilots discombobulated in the second quarter. Will head to the locker rooms down by 20 points. As the score is updated, again, the home team with a big advantage at the half. Well, in the first game of this series, we have a second half to play, but it's the Taipei Fubon Braves who are off and running. We'll be going to halftime and halftime analysis after these messages. It's halftime here at Huping Gymnasium. I'm Ryan Chen, joined by Kyle Hudson on the English commentary of this Plus League playoff game. On the Mandarin broadcast, it's Wang Xingkai and Mark Tianhonghui. So far in the first half of this one, it's a tale of two ends, and basically both ends won by the Braves. Especially, let's start our discussion on the Pilots' half-court offensive side. What we've observed is the Braves defensively, whether they're in their zone defense or they're matched up in man, they aren't making individual small decision mistakes. But on the Pilot side, 5 for 20 shooting the three, and their locals in particular, 1 for 13 shooting the three ball is really not going to get it done. Only 35 points in the first half. Of course, much higher than the league record low for half, but we won't go there. And the Braves securing more rebounds, having a better assist-to-turnover ratio as well. Initially, in the start of the game, we figured that Ethan Bayalton was a problem defensively, but it almost feels like they could use him to try to push the pace offensively. Early on, it was Jeff Ayers and Jason Washburn pouring in the points, but their half-court offense has really ground down to a halt.
Yeah, ever since the Braves made that defensive adjustment on Ayers and Washburn, doubling sometimes there on the block, the Pilots just haven't found any other scores, either locals or otherwise, to pick up the pace, and we're seeing a lot of defensive breakdown on their end as well, especially on these pick and rolls. There's not a lot of communication there on how they want to guard it, and that's just leaving the Braves wide open shots, wide open lanes to take advantage of, and we've seen they've done that so far. That's an example right there. That was off a pick and roll, but as we've seen, the game's not over. It's only halftime, but definitely some things the Pilots need to work on is help defense and rotations. And the Braves, they're just playing super well. Just keep moving the ball, keeping the Pilots defense moving, and I think it should be a Braves wins here today, but I don't want to speak too soon.
The 8 Braves have gone on the scoreboard. They are also a perfect 8 for 8 from the free throw line. Now, typically, the Pilots, the highest fouling average team in the league, will send their opponents to the free throw line the most. But right now, in a game like this, where they're down big, that does not seem like a sound strategy unless they really muck up the Braves offense, muck up the game, which, of course, from a league standpoint, don't want to happen. But it's possible Pilots' recourse on the game. In particular, here Zaitsev got the game started, knocking down the 3. But Michael Singletary has also come on as well, but they're getting scoring from everywhere. Oh, on the Pilot side, it's Ayers with 16, Washburn with 7. And on the Braves, 12 from Zaitsev, 10 from Jet, 9 from Zheng Xiangjun, who was a perfect 4 for 4 before a couple misses. Beast has come on to score. Of course, he's got plenty of rest during the regular season. And Michael Singletary, a rather modest 6 points, but he could come on later in the game. 2-time final MVP.
揪过来，有来到我们和平篮球馆的朋友们，你参加我们勇士出任务了吗？只要参加勇士出任务，来到我们净化高手摊位，就可以获得由我们 Uno 所提供的这个吸脏污去油光，让你操控油的洗面乳。非常大方的 Uno 这次要跟着勇士一起成为净化高手，把对手都赶走。再来，还有时间的话，欢迎你到2楼商品部，可以来看一下我们这次全新的联名系列商品，有衣服、有长 T， 还有我们的背包，都可以挑选你喜欢的世代。像我手上这件就是杰哥跟文成他们的黄金世代的款式，总共有4个款式可以客制化，而且有许多的新品都在我们的2楼商品部。来现场的朋友记得要去逛逛哦。 各位观众朋友，刚刚的比赛有够刺激的啦。那么今天有来的就可以跟我一样穿上我们蓝 T， 一起为勇士来加油。不过如果你今天错过的话，但是你在看直播，很想来，对不对？记得后天礼拜一我们要一起进场，而且我们还为你准备全新的应援 T， 也是白色的哦。这一次礼拜一不要错过了，而且礼拜一进场还有机会获得比尔手上这个，你很忙哎，这个是我们勇士跟一家人所联名推出的商品，然后这是洗发精跟男士香水，要怎么获得呢？你要先来穿上我们的应援 T， 一起参加中场游戏，就有机会获得。说这么多，你赶快订票吧，快到我们台北富邦勇士的售票网一起来订票，而且在2楼商品部还有许多新品等你来选购哦。讲了这么多，我们约好了哦，礼拜一见哦，一起为勇士加油 ，No.1。
Plus League 球迷 Oh My Basketball 是我本人在 Ivy Bar 学英文吧，教你篮球的英文术语，搭配了 Plus League 的影片，打造全新的线上课程。欢迎大家在资讯栏里面点里面的连结，一起学习。Some pilots crew in attendance to watch the game, but one big thing that we noticed during the analysis at halftime, of course, was the difference of three-point shooting. Well, pilots forgot the memo as Pauian Gymnasium is the highest three-point shooting environment in the Plus League at 33%. But over on the Brave side, they've had quite a bit of turnover, relatively speaking, during the offseason. They let Zheng Wenting go in free agency. They made the trade, saying goodbye to Joseph Lin, but bringing in KJ and Steve-O Zhang Wenping. They drafted a couple pretty important rookies in Phil, Chen Pauian and TJ Jinting Zhao, with a number of other local free agent signings. But all those changes being said, they're still playing like a real front-runner team here in the Plus League. What are some of the good habits that these Braves have demonstrated during the regular season and even today?
Yeah, of course. Like you said, there's a lot of roster turnover, but just having a solid foundation of a lot of returning players as well, and just understanding the player experience, and that all comes down to coaching as well. As you have a strong coach and you have a lot of veterans that know the system and really help out new players coming in. So I think that's one strength the Braves have, even though they have a few new pieces they've added.
They doubled Singletary on the pick and roll to a successful stop. Now the Pilots on the offensive end. Starters for both teams in there. Little skip pass to the top as Jackie will float it up, but short. The Pilots will get another chance on the deflection out of bounds.
Yeah, we'll see the Pilots, like we mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast, they're actually the slowest team in terms of pace and, you know, possessions per game. And when you're down 20 points, you got to overcome that in a half. Seems like they're going to have to push the ball a little bit more, get a little bit out of their comfort zone, and try to get some more high-quality, quicker shots than they're normally used to.
Inbound right to Washburn, spinning, but kind of got a little too deep. A little bit of a zone look for the Braves as Ethan out to Ayers from center field. He got it. Good start for the Pilots. Again, Jeffrey Curtis Ayers. He doesn't have any made twos, but now 4 for 7 from outside. Got a little bit tied up as Zaitsev goes down.
As we've seen, the Pilots have made an adjustment on their screen defense as Washburn steps up early off that initial screen to guard that three. But we see Ayers hit a three, very similar to the very beginning of the game. If he can hit back-to-back threes like he did in the first quarter, then that cuts the Pilots' deficit dramatically and could get them kick-started here in the second half.
Taking a second to clean up the hardwood. Now Jet running into a wall, but Zheng Xiangjun left open, and again, there's the floater. Becomes such a good weapon for him.
Yeah, exactly. He's been super efficient from around that 10-foot area inside the paint, but outside as well is shooting very efficiently, and something they got the Pilots got to look out for the rest of this game.
Washburn fakes the pass, then taking it in, but no love from the referees at a random bounce by Beast. Looked like more of a mistake, but the Braves will get rewarded with a blocking foul in transition.
We get a replay to see maybe he has some eyes in the back of his head. Oh.
Jackie, relatively speaking, read the play, but crashed into Zheng Xiangjun. Interesting sequence, though. I guess he's Beast, so we can give him credit for the pass. Second foul of the quarter as Jet trying to get to work on Ethan, who plays pretty stubborn defense and gets the stop. But Michael Singletary can't finish over Ayers. Sound defense by the Pilots.
Yeah, Ayers is just such a big body, a very strong guy. And you know, even though he had Singletary at that initial rebound, made it very tough for him to finish over him.
Wang Han on the catch and shoot, but still off in the first half. All the Pilots were struggling from outside. Wang Han now 0 for 6 from the field as Singletary takes a fall in the corner, trapped. Throwing it in before out of bounds is nice ball movement, a one-handed little baby dunk by Michael Singletary. Zaitsev with the assist as one of those broken plays won by the Braves. Ayers, there's back-to-back threes, though. A few sequences in the middle.
Yeah, as we see, just Ayers just pile in the scorecard on the 3 points in the points area, but you know, one guy can't win the entire game. So we'll try to see if the Pilots can try to contribute more. Not only Ayers and Washburn on the offensive end.
Make it 3, no, but a a rebounding foul. And this time it's Washburn getting the best of Michael Singletary in there, but of course Mike disagrees. Saw previously a couple pilots stuck in that corner and Singletary relocated for the opening. Now for personal, let's see how long Roger keeps number 17 in there. Inbounds close. Lucky for the Pilots, it bounces their way. It's quite quiet in the gym as the Braves fans trying to get awakened by some more transition play, perhaps. Their bread and butter. Washburn, right, left, and missing the hook. Quickly the other way. Jet with a hand in his face. And it's finally the Pilots' turn to get a little bit of run.
Maybe not the look you're looking for through the Braves. As Jet took a quick shot on a 2-on-2 fast break. Maybe could slow it up a little bit, but sometimes he makes those, so can't complain too much.
Foul on the rebound as Ethan bricks that shot. A positive result for the Pilots. A few more possessions before we finally get a television timeout, and there's Winston with a early stint in the second half in for Singletary.
The number of personal fouls racking up on Singletary is going to be a little bit of issue maybe later in the game, so I think it was very smart taking him out early to preserve him a little bit. Don't want to get him in too much of foul trouble before the end of this game.
The Braves are not afraid to play small with Singletary and a local big in there at center. A little low to high look as Jet to Winston. He'll try from three, no. But Beast, 12-on-12 action there. Got the offensive board and a tough turnaround, partially blocked. On charging ahead, but no one opens up. They're swinging around a little big to big give and go, but Zaitsev sniffs it out. Loose ball as Jet will go to the line. Ethan doing his best to swat that shot away. Not a great sequence for the Pilots.
Good hands by Big Z here. Just read that pass perfectly. Trying to take a coast to coast, maybe a little Giannis action, but lost it there. And Jet picked up that ball and took it up against Ethan for that tough layup and got the foul.
Ethan will head to the bench. One big note for his offseason, whenever it will come, is definitely raising those shooting percentage. Obviously is a tremendous athlete even at the point guard position, but need to improve much more on just 33% shooting from the field overall. Jet a couple free throws sunk. And again, here come the kids for the Braves, and the defensive pressure will get turned up.
Yeah, we'll look for the Braves to put a lot of, like you mentioned, Ryan, defensive pressure, maybe off of a quick basket. They caused a couple of turnovers earlier in this first half, and just keep the Pilots off guard and uncomfortable when they're trying to get into their set plays.
Washburn hands it off, but Jackie hesitates, now trying to go physically, floating it up, and another miss. As much as we could commend him for making his way onto the rotation for Coach Caminos, even 16 points in his debut, but Jackie's provided very little offensively during the regular season and here in the first game, as Pauian will get a foul out of Winston. The referee say he was a little too grabby.
Yeah, so far we're just seeing a lot of, not much diversity on the Pilots' end in terms of scoring, as we've seen the Braves have around 9 people on their team score already compared to Pilots' end.
It'll be our first stoppage of the second half, and back after this. We're back. Be sure to leave a like on all the Plus League streams during the playoffs. The Pilots making a little bit of a run before the television timeout here in the second half, but 8-6 is only a 2 points gain so far. Seeing previously the physicality there, Singletary getting an arm and a leg in there too. I'm sure the Pilots not super happy about that, but the Braves eventually score out of that. As you can also see Chen Xiangjun staying inbounds just long enough to get a pass off too. Singletary's not had the smoothest game, but his teammates have been backing his and their own efforts up with a big lead still in the game.
That's a great advantage if you can have 4 or 5 other guys pick up your slack when maybe you're not shooting the best. As we see, 3 guys on the Braves scoring in double digits so far, and pretty much the only major scorer on the Pilot side is Ayers with 22 points currently.
Washburn with Winston guarding on him. Looks like the Braves are on all switch, but a forced layup will go the way of the Braves. So they used to come out in zone every time, but now all switch man-to-man and forcing a miss. Pilots almost exclusively played man-to-man defense themselves as Zhou Guoyu given a step, fires away but short. Pauian backing down until Justin will get a foul out of the drive. Big block shot, but it won't count, and it will be free throws for the Pilots.
It's a very aggressive move by Justin, really early in the possession. Right as he caught it, he ripped it downhill, got past his defender, and really trying to make something happen here in the third quarter as time's clicking down, and Pilots are historically a very slow team. So Justin trying to get things rolling, trying to get things happening to pick up the pace a little bit, cut this deficit down to a more manageable number, trying to lead into the fourth quarter.
He goes 1 for 2 from the line. Braves with only 6 points on the third. Pilots switch off some of the matchups as the Braves look Ayers' way, but down low to Chen Xiangjun, who slips behind. Winston will get the assist. Quickly down the floor, Washburn. They reset. Every single offensive possession for the Pilots seems to be such a puzzle. That pass deflected and another Zaitsev steal. He only averages about 1 per game. He's got a couple here in the third. Thought about it, now passes it off as Winston will try again from 3. He swishes it.
Just these active hands by the Braves making every single pass difficult for the Pilots. As sometimes when you're moving very slowly, trying to be very deliberate in your offense, that leaves a lot of deliberate passes you can read with your eyes. And we see Big Z read 2 of those really early with the quick hands and buckets down on the other end.
3 bounces and out for Justin, trying to take Chen Xiangjun on the mismatch. And here come the Pilots, but again, slowly playing fast is not at all in their wheelhouse tonight.
That might be something they try to plan for in the upcoming games throughout this series, as their scoring needs to get up and they need to find some scoring from other players other than their imports and Justin, as we've seen very low scoring from any other players on the Pilots team.
Mercifully, Winston forces up, but clearly there's a lot of fatigue set in with Washburn and Ayers. Initially back to the basket, and now Washburn going quickly on a Zaisev. He takes advantage for finally an easy 2 for Washburn on the quarter.
Yeah, we've seen Washburn post up there on the low post and do a little shimmy shakes a couple of times, little baby hooks over his left shoulder, but this time the little spin to the basket, and very aggressive still throughout this game, and that's what you like to see from the Pilots bigs.
A little razzle-dazzle for Chen Changchun, but it's a miss. Zaisev tracks it down.
Just that fatigue, like you were mentioning. No one boxing out as they thought the shot was up and the rebound was theirs, but the Braves still fighting every single possession, both ends of the court.
About 3 minutes to go in the third quarter. Don't forget, the one import per team allowed on the floor might be advantage Pilots, as they're used to that kind of lineup from their winning streak. But Justin left wide open and a splash. A lot of relief on the Pilots bench as one of their best scorers finally sees one through.
Yeah, seeing the ball go through the basket is, very mentally boosting thing that you like to see, and especially when you have a shooter see the ball go through the basket, well, that tends to increase their confidence and their shooting percentage as well. So we'll see Justin take probably a couple more shots.
And they force a shot clock violation, so finding a little bit of life on the Pilot side.
Yeah, great defense by them. This time, their rotations were on point and were able to give up, shoot a 3 on the other end and get a stop on the defensive end. So let's see if they can keep that train chugging and cut this lead down, cut this deficit down a little bit.
Lai Tingyan in there for the first time, along with Pong Pong, who's trying to back down Tokoyer. The double comes early as Ayao probably avoids the travel and will get a foul out of the Braves and send the Pilots to the line. It didn't look like a good sequence from their captain, but he makes something out of nothing.
Yeah, you take what you can get in that situation. Had a 3, probably could have taken, but saw a little opening there for that drive and was able to draw the foul to keep this Pilots momentum going.
Free throw made by Si Jinyao, but Chen Guanquan had 5 starts in the Pilots versus Dreamers series. Back then he was number 30, now number 15. Did average 7 points and 3.6 rebounds, though, of course, he's playing alongside Quincy Davis for the most part in that series, so definitely roles and responsibilities different, as Zaisev called for the rough screen. And another turnover for the Braves.
Yeah, the physicality continues, and definitely a push-off there. A little extension of the forearm into Ayers' chest, and another turnover, like you mentioned, Ryan, from the Braves. And with this remaining 2 minutes left in this third quarter, the Pilots can get something going to bring them some good momentum going into the fourth.
Singletary in for his teammate Zaisev. Justin, baseline, to Ayo from the corner. In and out, no. The ball still ricocheting, finally brought down by Smart. Lai Tingyan has got the mismatch on him, but they screen. Now they're going to run their offense as Lai Tingyan tries from deep and makes it. Si Jinyao flung down on the floor. No love from the referees, and it's back to a 19-point lead.
The Braves not making it easy on them defensively or on the offensive end, as they're trying to kill all momentum that they had. As lighting in some good hands there on the defensive end to poke that ball away, but he came right in. First few minutes, very productive. Defender goes under the screen, reads it perfectly, pulls up for that three-pointer.
Justin, a quick fire three. I don't know if he was doing the 3-for-2 math, but Pompom's offensive board. 7 seconds left on the clock. Justin, again, going one-on-one, but getting trapped in the corner, puts it up and in. Finally, all those shot fakes opens him up. Down the floor, KJ quick fire three. And now the Pilots starting to win out on some of these possession math, but we'll slow it up. There's about a 7-second shot clock to game clock difference. The Pilots sitting at 52 points. Smart jabs, now backs off as Pauian will go to the cup and score. Running low on time, here comes Singletary. He'll cough it up, and the Pilots on that heave do cut the deficit by a little bit, but they'll need a Herculean effort in the fourth quarter to get back into this game. They're down big as we head to the fourth and final frame of Game 1 of the Pilots Brave series here in 2023's Plus League playoff.
换上衣服的赶快跟着小夫一起秀出我们胸前所支持的 Brave， 尽量小子，一起来为勇士加油！试着一起秀出胸前的 Brave， 谢谢蒋万安市长。小朋友，妈妈也秀出来，往左边转一点，往左边。小妹妹换你了，秀出胸前的一个 logo。PJ。欢迎这位美女秀出比尔的蓝色 T 恤，欢迎大家。两位，你们的衣服在哪里？秀出来！谢谢。穿上去会更好看哦。来喽！你说蓝色是你最爱的颜色，秀出来！哦，这也是蓝色。小朋友，谢谢你们。
The playoffs moved out of Shuangbei next week with the Dreamers hosting the Kings in Taichung Thursday night and the Pilots hosting the Braves in Taoyuan on Friday night. We're here in the fourth quarter in the first game between the Braves and the Pilots. Now the Braves, if we look back on their regular season, they had 4 losses in a row right around the Lunar New Year break. At 7-8 was the low point of the season before rattling off 8 straight wins, 7 of them at home. As Sijingao gets us started with a jumper in the corner. Well, the Braves tied with the Kings for the best home record during their regular season. As Coach Rogers said in the pregame, actually playing at home could be a little bit of a pressure as they lost both home openers, you could say, against the Dreamers. They find Zaisev completely free down low. So the counter bucket by the Braves.
Yeah, like you mentioned, Ryan, playing at home seems like it should be an easy win. You know the environment. You have the crowd on your side. You played on these rims. You played on these baskets, but just a little bit of added pressure as you don't want to let your own fans down.
There's a foul on the rebound as Smart took an awkward fall there, but the players are heading down toward the Pilots, or Pilot's defensive basket, I should say. But you see previously, nobody communicated on the Zaitsev slide. As you see Sijingyao miss the runner and hold on to Smart there, maybe out of frustration. And the referees are going to the monitor, see if they need to upgrade this foul. Probably the last thing the Pilots need is a foul on a loose ball, 2 free throws and possessions if they upgrade it. Definitely not the kind of poise you'd want out of your captain. Is Sijingyao, longtime veteran, probably thought he got pushed too, but no excuse for your contact on a quote-unquote helpless rebounder.
As we see off this rebound, just yanking Smart's arm down. Yeah, we saw him get up earlier off the ground and walk away, so glad to see his arm's all right and is able to come up off that foul, and they made a decision.
There will be an unsportsmanlike against Sijingyao. And as unfortunate as this for the Pilots, and sure they can voice their frustrations, they have not played a good game, and that is a definite mental mistake, I would say, because even if it was a common foul, you'd have to ask yourself, why are you committing a foul there? Certainly there's a lot of contact going both ways, but you really got to make everything work in your favor, and that's not what we're talking about.
Yeah, very tough coming down down the stretch. You know, the fourth quarter is when most mental mistakes are made, and especially in this situation, the Pilots cannot afford any of those, as they have a pretty sizable deficit they gotta overcome as remaining 11 minutes.
Pilots don't have a big split in their fourth quarter performances when it comes to wins and losses. Zaitsev from the top. They're looking for Smart. Goes with a turnaround jumper, showing off those Michael Jordan skills.
See the early double team down there. Great pressure, but something that we saw the Pilots do earlier was kind of lacking a little bit on defensive rotations, and we saw the same thing here with the Braves with that initial double team. You got to keep eyes on all these backdoor cutters, and the Pilots took advantage of that.
A shot from the outside and another splash. Lightingan coming off the bench and providing some value shooting the basketball. Actually started the year as a starting point guard for the Braves, but definitely has a lot of value with his high number of steals and now showing off the shooting prowess. They don't get Washburn the first time as Justin high off glass and in. Well, good answer relatively quickly by the Pilots.
And we're seeing Justin just doing the best he can, trying to score the ball as much as possible here throughout this game, but needs a little bit of help as, you know, Ayers isn't on the court anymore at the moment. So far we're seeing the main contributors in terms of points is Justin and Washburn.
An open three look for Justin, but again, in and out. He's only 1 for 10, not for a lack of trying. Beast in between two as they whistle.
A little bit of a scramble there, but Pilots foul early and make sure nothing can come out of that play. As that 15-point lead by the Braves still looming over the Pilots with 9 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter.
A lot of hand fighting, the refs let go this time. As Lightingan will fire away. And there's a rebounding foul. Again, Sijingyao on Smart, but it'll be a common variety. His his third personal as announced by the MC in the building. Smart definitely plays most of his minutes in the fourth quarter, and now Caminos will counter with Amdi in there. Quickly on the inbounds, Lai Tian left open. Another mental mistake by the Pilots on one of those stoppage plays, whether it's at a timeout or coming with a quick turnaround there.
Yeah, Lai Tian just at the right place at the right time, and you know, coming into this game a little later than you would normally like, but that burst of energy and that burst of you know, commitment to increasing this lead has shown him why he should be on the court maybe a little bit more, as he's extremely effective, especially in this game, as we've seen. Just great positioning, great awareness, and finish with that little reverse underneath the basket layup.
2 free throws for Lu Junxiang, hoping to get going. Only 1 for 3 prior to this evening. 16 points is the second highest scorer for the Pilots and would be the leading scorer on the Braves. Like we said, have spread the scoring all around, led by Zaisev's 14. Josh will check in for KJ, not a natural position sub at this point in their careers. But Zokoi, a natural 2-guard from his college days. Beats the Lai Tian, but ball comes free, and here come the Pilots on the break. Back to Hong Han. Back to Sijin Yao, his jumpers along.
He's not able to connect there on that pretty open shot. It was a good possession by the Pilots, taking that ball early off the steal, but wasn't able to connect.
And a foul by Amdi on the defensive end, even though Braves fan wanted his rebounding foul on the other end. There you see the right-handed hooking there.
A good seal off by Zaitsev to just get position, just showing his presence in the paint, looking for the ball to create some offense either by himself or maybe through a pass off of a double team. As still looking for the ball, but Beast able to dribble past him.
And a 3-second call as Beast shows some frustrations. Deng Xiangjun maybe had an open look, but pass to Josh. You try to pass to Beast. The referee say, that's too much, guys.
Yeah, sometimes selfishness is the right answer. And it was in that situation. As just a little bit too much time camping in the paint.
They got the switch, but help comes. Ayo driving, dumps it off to Washburn, who's got the finish.
Great recognition there on that mismatch to find that opening and create some space for his fellow big man Washburn to find a little opening to finish at the rim.
Andy with the rebound now goes back with Ayo, flinging a pass, but deflected. Taking a hard tumble, so the Braves will have numbers. Josh back to Jet. Didn't really notice him check in, but wide open number 8. Checking the weather, checking the air pressure too, and it's a Wayward with that 3.
Maybe he's just waiting for a defender to come up on him. Maybe taking a little bit too much time, got in his head, but it's a great look nonetheless by the Braves.
Pilots now down by 13 as Washburn trips by the defender, though more or less on his own power. Zokoi gets the fast break lay-in and a bad trade-off for turnover on one end to a counter fast break on the other end, and a timeout is called. So Caminos and the staff trying to argue with the referees, but a bad back and forth sees the Braves lead up to 15 again.
的。我想送跟上节拍拍手的朋友，好可爱哦，你们。这边，拍手拍手。
Our final stoppage of the broadcast, where we went to commercial timeout, but coming back, the number one thing I noticed, the pilots started with both their imports, and both of them now partway through the fourth quarter have more than 30 minutes played on both of them. Their season average, if we look it up, Airs 30 minutes, Sunny 29 minutes, Washburn 33 minutes, relatively low load, low usage, but in the playoffs, Caminos is really pushing his 2 imports, and their fatigue kind of showed on that last play where Washburn tried to put a post-up move, but ran into a defender and coughed it up.
Yeah, definitely. I think with the initial scoring that they've shown in the first quarter and a little bit in the second quarter as well, with the Pilots down 15 points currently, the Pilots just need some offensive pressure, and that's probably why we've seen some heavier load minutes on the import, specifically in this game.
Meanwhile, all of the fourth quarter played by Igor Zaysev with Singletary gathering strength, but on the other side, Ayers is also not coming in the fourth. TJ on the handoff. They're looking for Chen Xiangjun, but Ethan is doing a pretty good job until now.
Very physical basketball we're seeing. And we'll see a replay here. Ethan just sealing them off. Maybe a little too much hooking as we see their arms get tangled up.
Well, you can give him credit for hanging in there, and maybe could say that the rest of his teammates probably needed to do a better job forcing a turnover or forcing a mistake on the perimeter.
Yeah, it's tough battling. Such a, stronger,
taller.
physically taller, exactly. And holding them off for that long was pretty impressive, but sometimes, you have to foul them or else they're going to get that easy entry pass and easy 2 points.
Andy shooting it over the basket. They say it made contact with the shot clock. Now the Pilots trying to stay on this end of the floor. Washburn in the middle of the Brave zone to Amdi. The Pilots on the baseline again. To Ethan, and he'll try from 3, but it's off.
The Braves still pushing the ball, getting it across half court extremely quickly after a miss. Just putting a lot of pressure on the Pilots to either get back on defense or give up an easy fast break layup, and not making it easy for them.
Jet will rattle home a 3.
See a little defensive breakdown there from the Pilots as a little screen, a little run through. No one knew who to pick up. Jet there, and he had that easy step in 3 and made the Pilots pay.
Again with the zone look, Washburn will try it on the run, and Andy knocks it in.
Still seeing some life from the Pilots as grabbing a couple offensive rebounds. Always looking for those second chance points as they seem to be fairly easier to get as you're already around the basket, and putting the pressure on the Braves still as the game's not over yet.
But Jeff twisting and turning will get a foul. Got by Ethan, and the producers certainly think it's on Amdi. It is. Another look at the three-pointer, the jump shot variety by Jet, as he also features a set shot when he has a catch and shoot most of the time. I haven't said Zhang Dongxin's name very much in the second and third quarters, but He's now leading the team with 15 points. His first missed free throw of the night.
The Braves have 3 people in double-digit scoring and 3 additional that are just 1 basket away. They have 8 points each. Just having so many different players to score the ball for the Braves makes it extremely difficult for the Pilots to defend everyone.
Ayers is in there. Is a nice rainbow. That Zhang Zhenya fresh in the game.
We're seeing a little bit of higher pressure than normal. A little sag off by Ethan now, but you see MD just trying to put a lot of pressure as they know time's coming down.
Legs are still fresh as he skies high for the rebound. I'm gonna start wondering if Caminos could have rotated some of these bench guys earlier in the game, as Zhang Zhenya has 2 3-pointers made. Justin, tough layup, gets it to go, and don't look now, but the deficit is 13 with 3.5 to go. I believe that timeout was called by the Braves.
Definitely a lot of times on the clock still, so well, let's not count out the Pilots just yet, but the key thing that they got to work on is defense.
会跟中线打到1，那个印下什么？什么？所以现在他要走到艾尔斯，防守是 10， 你要先走6-9，你要走小白，他也要走舒特啊。进攻的时候做这样 ，open to go 这样，所以中线过来的时候，麦克会进去，祥军。 什么？没有什么，很多空的，没有没有，祥军在上面，因为祥军比较会给球，祥军来给，什么去挡麦进来，给了之后这边上来，中线你来挡，桂宇或者是中线都可以带过来，另外一个在上面，进攻是打这样，防守 10， 哎 ，switch up， 然后 protect rebound。 被切，卢俊祥现在都会这样切，球在这边，这个人 ，4， 哎，对，江图的 ball， 太容易得，他每次都切不上啊。江图的 ball，everyone 江图的 ball，everyone 江图的 ball， 来，对啊，这一波，然后所有人江图的 ball。
So breaking from what the Braves typically do, like to switch a lot of man in that timeout, Roger immediately went to each player and assigned defensive assignments. He's heard Zheng Xiangjun is supposed to guard Ayers, and Jet's supposed to guard Justin, for example. But offensively, they're going to also switch it up with Michael Singletary coming in as well. So with 3.5 to go in the game, Braves not letting up yet. Zhang Zhenya trying to trail Singletary, as there's the handoff. Driving with power, the help comes, but they do get a foul out of it. A little stank eye from 17 to 27.
There's just a strong move there. It's hard to keep up with such a strong man as we see 3 players had to come to help to try to cut him off. Wasn't successful as 2 free throws is the first one. He's good to go.
Singletary, the record holder for the most consecutive double-digit scoring games in the Plus League regular season. I believe that mark is now north of 60. Zheng Zhenya will try to answer with 3, but that one's in and out. Certainly has a pretty arc to his shot, but doesn't count if it doesn't go in.
Yeah, that's true. I wish it did, but unfortunately it doesn't.
Again, same play. This time Ayers switched out, but Mike tries the 3 and he knocks it down.
We see the offensive prowess that Singletary brings to the Braves, as you know, even if you switch on him early, he's able to hit that step back and put a lot of pressure on you and keep you second guessing.
Ayers got past Jet and banks it home. But a 2-for-3 trade, or 3-for-2 trade. Now Ethan again stepping out, playing with 5 fouls. Jet to Singletary. The step back catching Johnson down, and the three is good.
Adam thinking he was going downhill, but froze him there with that step back, and nothing he could do. Couldn't even get a hand up to contest, as you know, Singletary's trying to put the nail in the coffin here and end this game.
Andy kind of screening space more or less. Ayers will try to free the line drive again, halfway down and out. Well, the Pilots could give him credit for playing hard in the fourth quarter, but if not being able to close the gap, as Singletary called in as a closer of sorts. Jet stepping, but blocked. They'll hang on to the basketball.
Jet's taking a little bit of time there on the ground. Maybe got the wind knocked out of him, but probably will be subbed out, as this lead is a little too much for the Pilots to catch up, and don't want to get any one of your key players injured so late in the game. That's pretty much already sealed. So
there goes Jet. Kind of got a limp going, but maybe some early rest. A couple days to recover before they get back to action. Time running down. A Singletary fires again, but off back iron. So with maybe just some cosmetic finishing touches to this game, Pilots are all locals. Out to Justin, out the jump circle, as there's too much action going on, as Andy and Singletary getting mixed up there. I'm sure that both players have an argument to be made for who's getting what going.
Yeah, especially at the end of the game, it's getting a little chippy. Maybe some words were being exchanged between the two that maybe we didn't hear, maybe we didn't see. I mean, we'll definitely see a replay coming up, and maybe we can analyze that a little bit further, but don't want to make those mistakes late in a game that's pretty much ended. So we'll take a look to see what the refs decide. And another technical, I think, was just given.
That might be toward the Pilots head coach or to the bench, but the referees will also have to report that after they finish this IRS review. Well, Michael Singletary was in specialty foul trouble last season toward the end. You get a look, there's grabbing and holding by both sides, and of course, right here, nobody lets go, and that extra shove. And I don't really know what Amdy's doing with his face there. I don't think any contact was made. Maybe he's just allergic.
Might be, but we definitely see the initial contact in the beginning, and then the shove by Singletary.
As much as people dislike the double foul, it seemed to make sense in this situation, the way both guys were grappling at each other out on the floor. Then, of course, there's all the extra stuff that came afterwards. And unfortunately for the game, we got to have to sort this out with only a minute to go, and the results seem to be determined already. And of course, if got to throw in that technical, we don't know whether it's to the bench or to the head coach, as you see the tangle up, and definitely unnecessary by Mike, but that wonder if you can call that a flop, but I don't know if anyone got in the touched the facial area of Amdy.
Yeah, it wasn't even close, but you know, you knew they were probably going to relook at that replay as we get a decision here.
Signal to the table first. So it seems like specialty fouls to both sides. And I hope the MC's got a sharp mind still in the game, because he's going to have to officially let the crowd know, as The referee finished signaling to the bench.
Yeah, a little complicated series of events there as
OK， 由本场比赛的
knew
主裁判
how much
来宣
excitement
判
was
这
going
次
to
的
happen in the
判
last
罚。
minute of this game.
好，各位观众，刚才我们先吹了丁恩迪一个进攻犯规，后续的2个人的动作，我们各给一个 U foul， 所以说相互抵消。那 bench 我们又给了一个技术犯规，罚1球加边线恢复比赛。
So it was an offensive foul by Amdi and a double U, not a double technical. Not that it matters very much because they both cancel out. And the Pilots bench will get a technical for, in the end, 1 free throw for the Braves. Michael Singletary will step up to take it. And Singletary's perfect free throw shooting night spoiled now, but 16 points, 10 rebounds, and 3 assists. He got his 4th foul, if I'm looking at my notes correctly, partway through the 3rd quarter. So the Braves have managed his individual foul situation just fine. Now it's all locals for both sides. Close out this minute, but in a kind of similar fashion to the other series, the last night's game I'm referring to, the team with the home court advantage, the higher seeded team seemed to be a little bit more ready to play in this one, as Jimmy will miss the fadeaway. And the lower seeded team, maybe not as much time to prep, but maybe not as deep of a rotation, also kind of showing it off as Zhang Zhenya will drill the 3rd 3 of his individual game, so maybe he'll earn himself a few more minutes in their next head-to-head. But Kyle, we only have a couple cosmetic possessions to go. It's kind of the same results, Series A and Series B. The higher seed at home getting a relatively comfortable victory, though, of course, the physicality not going down as it's the playoffs.
Oh yeah, of course, as we see, super physical game all the way down to the last minute as we saw that, you know, W fouls between MD and Singletary as no team wants to be on the end of the losing stick. So as this game finishes up, we'll try to see the Pilots try to make a comeback in their next game, but the Braves put on an extremely strong performance tonight, and you know, that's something the Pilots are going to have on the back of their minds coming into the next game is how are we going to score more points, how are we going to play some more solid defense as there's a lot to go over for the Pilots if they want to win their next game.
It's a final here at Hudson Gymnasium where the Braves indeed take the first home game, and definitely the pressure is back on the Pilots who need to win the next game to at least for sure push for a second home game on their front. You know they like to play in front of their own home crowd. And the Braves now facing a different opponent than the Dreamers defend their first home game successfully and get off to a good start here in the playoffs. We're still waiting on our colleagues on this broadcast brought to you by Momo TV, trying to flag down a player or a coach, presumably of the Braves, in a winning effort. The biggest difference in the game was that second quarter where they took the lead in the individual quarter 32-14 and holding the Pilots to only 4 of 22 shooting and throwing 4 turnovers as well. There's Chen, Zhang Zhongxian. Asked about their defensive effort by the Braves today.
基本上就是要保持住防守的强度，因为毕竟是在主场的比赛，特别是在季后赛，然后每一场球都很重要，所以我们就会尽可能的给对方就是很多的就是身体上面的接触，然后就在防守端给他们很大的压力这样。
Saying that especially important to play good defense and give them a lot of pressure.
其实就是没有特别去想说要传几次助攻或得几十分，主要就是先从防守做好，然后在进攻端就是保持侵略性吧。对。
Jet saying he wants to start on defense and not set any goals for the offense.
其实我不太担心麦，因为他总是能找到方法，就是替球队贡献。然后特别是我们今天在 上场的人每个人都有发挥贡献，所以就是今天这一场就是胜利算是属于大家的。
And Jet pointing out what we heard yesterday too, a real team effort by the Kings yesterday and the Braves tonight. We'll go to one break before wrapping things up in the postgame.
我们先请宪哥跟大家打个招呼好吗？先来中间。
很开心，就是到了1年之中就是最重要的时刻，然后很开心就是你们都可以进场，就是为勇士加油，然后朝着我们3连霸的目标前进。谢谢，
掌声送给宪哥，马上请宪哥来签一下签名球，送给大家。
It's just like that's how it is. I'm on the move, make way for me. Stand up for the champions, for the champions.
好了，准备请宪哥来送给我们主场的球迷朋友。还有哦，我们每一面都照顾一下，好不好？最后一颗，照顾一下。再次掌声送给张宗宪。谢谢每一位勇士的伙伴们，在这边跟大家相约礼拜一，明天我们好好休息一天，礼拜一再跟你们相约来到和平篮球馆勇士的主场。希望大家礼拜一可以带着朋友们在下班或下课之后，来到我们球场，一起为勇士继续完成第2件事情。希望大家给今天一起完成第1件事的自己掌声鼓励。最后也希望你们的掌声不要吝啬给我们辛苦的应援团队评论里，还有布拉一球。跟大家相约，最后祝大家冬歇。
Getting in a final word here in the first game between the Braves and Pilots, matching up in the playoffs. It's the Braves who claimed the victory 94-76, especially building that lead in the second quarter. They started the game with Jeff Ayers and Jason Washburn on the Pilot side doing the heavy lifting scoring-wise, but that was a theme throughout the game. Justin got scoring going later. Zhang Zhenyan knocked down a couple threes, but the Braves' pressure really forced the Pilots to slow their half-court pace even down into ineffective offense for their part.
Yeah, exactly. The Pilots just need to find some way to put the ball in the basket, as they can't rely on only a couple of players to put the ball and score for them.
Meanwhile, the Braves offensively, when they needed to, they got to running, and when they wanted to, they also executed in their half-court set. Of course, they had Jet step up, scoring in double digits. But it was a strong team effort from top to bottom. We keep on saying how many players scored. In the regular season, we kind of leave it off as kind of a laugh. But 10 Braves getting on the scoreboard, probably a good start for them. Rotating a lot of the younger players in. Well, our broadcast will conclude for now. Kyle, thanks for joining me on this broadcast.
Thank you for having me, Ryan.
On behalf of Chen and Mark, 6 teams in the league and league operations, thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.